2013, as most of you know, was a fantastic one for sports fans in the country. Our football stars won the Gulf Cup last year. They qualified for the 2015 Asian Cup. And our cricket team took a significant step closer to playing at the World Cup in 2015 as well. The country hosted a number of international tournaments, such as the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. So, on top of your head, has there been a better year in sports for the UAE?
No, I think that we've just experienced the most interesting and most active year in the history of the country. Each year we get another event or two that seems to increase international attention for the country, whether it's the Mubadala Tennis Classic or the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And when you add these, this one or another event or an international event for a one-off competition,
right,
it just seems like our calendar and our schedule gets a little more crowded, and people who live here have more choices to go out and see elite events right here in the country.
Right. What was your standout sporting moment last year?
I think it pretty much has to be the Gulf Cup. This is almost a full year ago now. It was in January.
Right.
When the UAE, Mahdi Ali's football team went to Bahrain and won every match they played. Some of them in really exciting last-minute fashion,
sure,
with some really classic goals. And it demonstrated again just how good the national team is right this minute. It was a group of guys who came up together, played in age group competitions, did very well, were just a bit too young or maybe not trusted to be completely ready to play during the World Cup qualifying, which ended badly for their slightly older brothers. But now they are here, they're playing together. Their coach from that level, Mahdi Ali, has come up with them. They did not lose over the entire year, which is quite an accomplishment. Actually, they won every match. A couple of them in shootouts, so they're technically draws, but they just had a fantastic year, and winning the Gulf Cup for only the second time in the history of the country was a very, very big deal and noticed certainly by everyone, especially the Emiratis, the local citizens.
People have obviously criticized the attendance of even the Arabian Gulf League, but people do love watching it on TV, even if they're watching it at home or in cafes. It is a little difficult to assess the passion when stadiums are not entirely full, but you can see that by just the celebrations that erupt after on the streets, right? And it is huge in the country.
There's nothing bigger in terms of UAE citizens than the UAE football team when it is playing well. I remember when they had 28,000 to see them in a qualifying match for the London Games a few years ago against Australia here at the Mohammed bin Zayed Stadium.
Right.
They will get that kind of support again, I think, in the future, if they continue to play like they are. There's a very deep need or desire to be close to that group because success has been difficult here. It's been hard to find since 1990 when the UAE made its one and only appearance in the World Cup. And these current guys seem to have touched some hearts and really gotten inside the minds of their fans who are only too happy to see a local team do well.
We obviously have a lot of other sports that gets organized in the UAE. We've got high-profile tournaments from Formula One to golf to tennis, mixed martial arts, swimming. A lot of people, the cynics, say that the UAE is able to host all these competitions because of the power of money. And sure, money is a factor, but is it fair to boil it down to just that?
Oh, not at all. I mean, it's much bigger than that. You don't have to. You have to have a desire to allow outsiders to come into your country, potentially critique it, go home and say they did this, they didn't do this well, they didn't do this well. I think there's a great confidence right now inside the UAE. When we put on an event, people will come, we will do it right, they will go home happy. I think there's a great confidence and there's a lot of goodwill as well. You don't see there's places with money in the world that don't have many events in there at all, and the UAE I think is a very outward-looking country in many respects, and especially when it comes to sports.